This is Dr. Carroll, and this video is about me completing some Javadoc exercises. So let's jump into this. So what's the difference between a Javadoc comment and a multi-line comment? Well, a multi-line comment looks like that, and a Javadoc comment looks like that, where we're going to put something in the middle here on either one of them. That's the difference. Notice a Javadoc comment is a multi-line comment that starts with an asterisk. Okay, so what is a Javadoc tag? A tag is an identifier in a Javadoc that starts with the @ sign. So let's go through some of these. So an author tag should be used at the beginning of a class, and we're going to have something along the lines of author, and then for me I would put my name. Some companies could put the company on there. You can put multiple authors on with one author tag, or you can have multiple author tags if you want it to be comma separated when it produces the Javadocs. And the @ author needs to be the first thing on the line, optionally with an asterisk before it or spaces. Now version should also be for at the class level, and so the convention is to do version and then do a number, to start with 1.1 and then do a date if you want to specify a date as well. Some people just leave off the date. So for example, September 8th, 2020, you would do something like that. And then depending on the convention you're using, every time you modify the file, you would increment this number. For minor revisions, for major revisions, you'd increment the first number. Now an @param tag, a param tag is used when you have a method and for each parameter. And what you do here is you do the parameter name right here, whatever the parameter name is, and make sure the casing is exactly the same, because the Javadoc is going to look to make sure it matches, and if it doesn't, it's going to express that it's not happy. And then we can do one or more spaces, and then we do a phrase we can do a phrase or a sentence or sentences to describe what's going on here. And then so you'd say something like the description of the parameter. What is going on here? Now the convention is to not uppercase it if it's just a phrase, but if you want to make it a sentence, then you follow normal sentence conventions, capitalize it here and make it a sentence there. And later on, another example, we'll do some of these. And a return tag should be used every time in a method that's not a constructor that has a return value that's not not void. And so anytime that you're going to return something that's not void, use the @return tag. And then it is simply @return and then a phrase or a sentence that describes what is being returned. Now, if there's a special value, for example, if there's an error condition or something, or a special case, you might put that right here to say, hey, it will return this value under these conditions. And again, same thing applies to capitalization based on, is it a phrase or a sentence? The @C tag here, the C tag, allows us to reference other things. So for example, if we're in a class and we want to say to see something else, we could see the constructor, and then we could say see the string constructor, or you could give it the names the parameters there. Or you could say, hey, see this module, and there's lots of different things we can say. And what this does is it provides a link to a see also in the Javadocs. You could do @see and then quotes if it's like a book or something that doesn't have a URL. If you are going to do a URL, you should do it with HTML. But if it's code and it can figure it out, or you could do an @see method, and for it to say, hey, this is, you should really look at this method to understand more about it. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of tags. Now let's look at writing appropriate Javadocs for this code here. Now I've copied and pasted it into a text editor so that the colorization is better, and as we add it, the color will be there. Okay, so now Javadocs apply to both classes and methods. So let's add a Javadoc here, and there we go. Now we have a Javadoc. This is a multi-line comment, and this is a Javadoc. And notice this text editor distinguishes between the two with color. And so we could say this is a simple linear income tax calculator based on preset rates and threshold levels. Okay, that's what this class is about. But we also want to put in some more information here, so we'll use the paragraph tags from HTML and say, note, this intentionally contains bugs to illustrate the importance of unit testing. Okay, so that would be a good thing to note, that this is buggy code, and we'll work on it at a later time. So now we have our description complete with a subdescription here. And now we should add some more tags here. We should say, well, who authored this? Well, I authored it, so I will put my name there. And then it'd be good to put a version in there. So this is actually version 3 of it. So we could do 1.3, and then we could put in today's date in month, day, year format. Okay, so now that's our Javadoc for our class. And I'll skip over doing Javadocs for fields, but here we have a method, and so Javadoc, and so this is a constructor, and so we could just, and this star is optional, but it's very common. We could just say this is the no argument constructor. Okay, and that's our description. We don't have any params or return values because it is a constructor. Now this one's going to be more complete. Oh, and notice we already have a comment before this method, so let's change it from a comment to a Javadoc. Whoop, there we go. And so and let's change the wording here just a little bit. So calculates the amount of tax due, and then we could say here with our more verbose description, we could say calculations are as follows, because this is important. And now, as I mentioned, this is HTML, and so we could put in some HTML here, and we could put in an ordered list. Here we go, and notice that's all HTML, and so it will render it, and we'll see that in a second. Okay, and then that closes off our subdescription there. So now, but get tax here takes a parameter, so now we can use @param, and so we write income right there. That's the name of the parameter. We don't need to write double because it can figure it out. And then, and we don't do a dash. Javadoc will add a dash there, but we can add spaces. And so we'd say, we're just going to do a phrase, so I'm not going to capitalize it. The amount of income in dollars and cents. Okay, so that way they know, oh, okay, It doesn't want whole numbers, it actually wants dollars and cents. And then what is it going to return? Well, it's going to, and notice we don't put anything here to say it's a double because it can figure that out. That's going to show somewhere else, but we need to give some description. What is it going to return so that whoever is going to think about using this can say, oh yeah, this is going to work. So we could say the amount of tax due. And now it is appropriate, even if it's repeating the description, to have an at return. Just have it there so it's uniform, so that if someone's looking through the documentation, they want to quickly figure out what it is returning, do put it there. And then we are good. Now let's take a look at what this did. Okay, so here we go. Here we have this file. Yep, I just changed it. And now let's run Javadoc on this file to produce Java documentation. Notice there's only one file in this directory, and it goes through, does all this stuff. Unexpected end tag, line 39. Oh, because I had the star here. Sorry about that. Actually, that's okay. That surprised me. But there we go. An unexpected end tag. It still didn't like this end tag here. I wonder if we make it uniform there, is it going to now be happy? Still doesn't like it. Well, let's see what it produces. And notice it produces an HTML. Oh, first off, let me show you this. Look at all the files that it produced. And so I've tried to make it large so you can see it, but notice it produced all of those files in 2 directories just from our one class. So let's look at what this looks like. Okay. And so this is what it all produced strictly from that file. Here's our class, tax collector, and notice it extends java-lang.object. We'll talk more about that later. Here's our description. Here's our note that we had under that description, and it recognizes a constructor because of its same name, no return type. And here's our description for this constructor, and there's no return values because it's constructors. And then it goes through all of the methods. We only have one method, and so it's get tax. It returns a double, and it takes a double, and it's named income. And the description here is it calculates the amount of tax. That's the summary. And then if we go into the detail, there's actually no extra detail in the constructor, but notice the detail here in get tax. So it repeats the header, it's public, it returns a double, get tax. This all looks familiar, right? And then here we have that complete description, complete with our HTML here for an ordered list. And then here's our parameters. Notice it puts this in a fixed width font to indicate its code, income, and it added this dash. And then here's our phrase that we put after it. And then here's what it's going to put. It returns the amount of tax due. And so this is all produced from your Javadocs. And so not only is the documentation in the code, but then these can be produced and they can be hyperlinked, and you can have them for your product in your company and be able to do that. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it.